theme of the week is the throwbacks to 94. That was the first year I remember being a Niner fan. I'm no longer a fan. So these 94 team, I remember the whole starting lineup. I remember Lee Woodall, Gary Plummer,
yes,
Tim McDonald. It was a great
Tim
team.
McDonald.
So what we want to do is shed light on one of these forgotten champions from 1994. This week we want to do, William Floyd, bar none, the fullback. Why don't you do it?
Yeah. So little intro of the topic. So obviously the 94 throwbacks, which are in fact the 55 throwbacks. Cool story about Seifert wanting those 55 throwbacks because he was like selling popcorn at Kezar Stadium in 55.
True.
And he remembers those throwbacks. And now you have the tie of Kyle being the water boy on 94 and reliving those throwbacks as well. So a lot of history. Fans love the throwbacks. I love the throwbacks. They're beautiful. If we're going to go in and talk about some of the players on that team, what better than the first round pick from that year? First round draft pick, 1994, William bar none Floyd.
First round pick. People forget that.
First round. He was the last fullback taken in the first round. That was the last time that happened. Yes. I mean, that's absurd to think of nowadays. We barely take running backs in the first round.
Sure.
We certainly don't take fullbacks in the first round.
That's right.
He was taken 28th overall because obviously we were a winning team back then. Obviously won the Super Bowl his rookie season.
You know who was the first round pick that year for the Niners? I believe.
Who?
Bryant Young.
Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong?
I don't think so. But now I got to look it up.
Yeah, I'll look it up. You keep talking about bar none.
Okay. Bar none. He set the record in the playoffs. The only person at that time the first rookie to rush for 3 touchdowns in a playoff game against the Bears in the divisional round. 3 touchdowns for a fullback. He was putting up stats. And then he did 1 touchdown in both the NFC Championship game against Dallas and another one in the Super Bowl. I mean, we were throwing up points in both of those games, so it's not super surprising. But then check this out. This stat blew me away because in 95, he actually got injured in week 9, and I don't know how that affected his career. I think it was
big time.
Yeah, I think it was something that really derailed what was the trajectory for him. But he was leading the league in receptions at that point. Week 8, not like week 3. Halfway through the NFL season in 1995, the fullback for the 49ers was leading the league in receptions, 47 receptions.
You could argue that Ricky Waters, William Floyd tandem was the best fullback running back tandem the Niners have had since Tom Rathman and Roger Craig.
Yeah,
they were great for that year and a half. That year, they were only together 1 year because then Waters left in 95 to go to Philly and play with Gruden.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Floyd got injured in 95. Yeah. I think that injury could have been one of the major things that derailed a back-to-back in the Super Bowl. When you look at your leading receiver at that time, I mean, I don't expect that would have carried through for the entirety of the season, but perhaps it would have. Perhaps
not with Jerry Rice on the team.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a fullback who was on pace for almost 100 catch season is just absurd.
It is.
It got me thinking, let's drag this towards today for the fans that are caring about what happens this year. It got me thinking about Juice, man, and the sort of criminal underuse of that guy. You've talked about this many times, that you've got a player you're paying as if he is the best best fullback in the league, bar none, and you don't use him like that.
True.
So I think that we have to look back as an organization. The 49ers need to look back as an organization and see how Floyd was used and inspire themselves to get Juice some additional touches.
Absolutely. What was interesting is, you know who was calling plays for bar none Floyd in 1994?
Mike Shanahan.
Yes. Now, I believe in 95, when he was on pace to catch all those passes, that was Mark Trestman.
I think you're right. Mike had moved on to Denver.
Who wanted the Niners to draft William Floyd? Mike. I would imagine the offensive coordinator had some input. And it's interesting that Mike Shanahan drafted a fullback in round 1, William Floyd. And Kyle Shanahan has spent all this money on Kyle Juszczyk. There's a similar philosophy. It's just that Kyle forgets to use him. So
he does. He's been in SF for 4 years. Only once has he eclipsed 10 carries for Juice. Only once, all single digits until 2020, where he got 17 carries. Yeah. He's never surpassed 33 catches in the first year. That was the first year he had 33 catches, never beyond that.
And that's the thing about Floyd. Like, Floyd could run the ball.
Yes.
Juszczyk is a little bit more of like a tight end. I kind of prefer throwing him the ball than handing him the ball. He's got good hands. William Floyd was a hell of a runner. He was a little bit like Mike Allstott before Mike Allstott.
He was. I mean, people now compare them looking at their body of work. And I actually saw an article that had William Floyd as overrated, which I thought was just a ridiculous take. But
freaking champion.
Yeah. A champion.
Freaking champion.
It's just like when someone's career gets derailed by an injury, to then say that they were in some way overrated, that just seems foolish to me.
Yeah. So William Floyd, if you're watching, we're putting some respect on your name.
Putting some respect on it. And Juice, if you're watching, we want to get you the ball more this year. Let's go 50 catches. 50.
We do. I don't know about your head coach who can't even get through a spring training program without getting 2 fines, but sorry.
Yeah, it's unclear.
I couldn't help myself.